Okay, well, thank you for joining me on a discussion of mindfulness and the benefits of mindfulness. I'm hoping to not talk too much. I'll give some background and explanations and everything, but I really hope that the majority of the time we can spend is actually doing some interactive guided mindfulness exercises, and then I'll definitely have some time at the end for your feedback and also for any questions. So as was said, I work at Capitol Health Behavioral Health Specialists. I'm in the Bordentown office, and I work with physicians and psychologists and therapists, as well as nurse practitioners. We have 3 different locations right now in Hamilton, Bordentown, and in Newtown. And we treat patients all across the lifespan, adults, older adults, and children. With medication management, individual therapy, as well as group therapy and assessment and testing. So to start out with here, we'll start out with what is mindfulness. We hear it, I think the term has been used quite a bit, and I think often we kind of use it in the same way, we use it when we mean meditation, or we use it for, in all different ways. But really what it is just the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. And the way we tend to use it as a skill is trying to achieve a mental state by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. And it can be cultivated through many different practices, including meditation, which it often is, but also yoga or Tai Chi, or really any sort of day-to-day task. We can cultivate mindfulness. It's, as I said, awareness in the present moment. It's been, around from teachings from ancient Buddhist traditions, but a name that some of you may know, Jon Kabat-Zinn, is really someone who brought it to the West and really specialized in mindfulness-based stress reduction, and really brought mindfulness to operationalized it and brought it to us in a way that we use now as a skill and as a strategy and as a daily practice. And it is cultivated through daily practice. What it hopefully does is it helps to kind of give us a different relationship to our own thoughts, emotions, and response to stress, right? So kind of changing the way in which we respond to our own personal experiences, physiologically as well as cognitively and emotionally. And what this can do then is gives us more options for how we want to respond to whatever might arise in our life, whatever stress arises or positive experience. It allows us to kind of have more flexibility in our responses, as opposed to kind of reflexively responding. There are a lot of things that mindfulness is not, and a lot of preconceived notions about it. So again, it doesn't mean meditation, although meditation is one way to practice it. It doesn't mean the absence of thought. Some people think, it's kind of you're trying to zone out, or you're trying to, the point is to try to kind of empty your brain. But that's not the goal at all. It doesn't always lead to feeling good or feeling more relaxed. That is hopefully one aspect or one result over time. But again, if we're just being kind of present with whatever and open with whatever comes up, that's going to be a range of different feelings and emotions at a given time. It's not necessarily religious. And it's not a fix for everything. It's not a panacea. It's not, there's certainly, roles for other skills and other strategies for treatments and things, but it is one important tool that you can have in your toolbox for managing stress, for reducing anxiety, for kind of just really feeling more in touch with with your experiences and on a daily basis. So there's some myths about mindfulness that I'll just go through. So one that I've heard is that mindfulness will make you weak. You're going to lose your drive for success, if you kind of have this passive, zoned out attitude, if you're just kind of taking everything in as it comes. And actually, because there's been a lot of research now done on the skill of mindfulness and the benefits and how it can kind of impact our behaviors and our emotional state. And so there's been research done that it actually can help to clarify goals and actually enhance persistence and maintain interest in your goals over time. So it has the opposite effect. It can make you more determined to kind of and more successful. Mindfulness is concentration, and again, this is a bit of a misunderstanding too. It's concentration is kind of forcing the mind to stay on one point, where we're really talking about noticing and accepting that when your attention has gone astray, and we'll get into that more as we go into it. But practicing mindfulness consistently can lead to improved concentration, but it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. Another myth I've heard before is that, I can't meditate. My mind is too active. It's not for me. But really, this again is not about kind of reducing activity in your mind or controlling your thoughts. It's actually about whether or not, if you have an active mind, it can be really, really helpful to be more in touch with those thoughts and emotions and activity that's happening. And another myth is that you should be mindful all of the time, which, is a really unrealistic kind of expectation, and also leads to a lot of then disappointment and judgment, which is something we try to suspend when we're trying to be mindful. So again, this is a skill that you can have, and the more you practice it, the more you'll have access to it, especially in times where you might be in distress or feeling anxious or feeling feeling kind of out of control, or any of those things that really, but the more you practice it regularly, you can have access to it. But certainly being mindful all the time would be very, very hard to achieve. And then another myth is that mindfulness is dissociation, like you're not paying attention to your thoughts, you're zoning out. And really it's the opposite. It's turning inwards and becoming more connected to your emotions, as opposed to avoiding those emotions or thoughts. Another myth is that, if I'm, practicing mindfulness is going to make me kind of become more turn inward and become isolated. It's selfish if I just kind of sit there and meditate and, but really, again, going back to the research, being connected to yourself can only really help your relationships and being, make your social relationships stronger. And there's actual data on that. And so, practicing mindfulness helps you to become more connected to your emotions, being able to regulate your emotion reactivity, which is only going to kind of help with relationships as well. So there are many, many benefits that have been documented of mindfulness practice, including decreasing rumination, right? That kind of spinning, catastrophizing mind that we all can experience from time to time. Enhancing your memory and focus and other cognitive aspects, attention. Additionally, it helps with that emotion regulation and reducing your emotional reactivity, helping you to feel a bit more in charge of your emotions and your responses. It helps with reduction of stress, and I have a slide about that. I'll talk a little more about that specifically. It helps with physiologically. There are benefits, so it can help reduce your heart rate.
Can you together as she does stuff?
Sorry, I'm just going to remind everyone, if you don't mind muting your microphones, just because I can hear, it's hard for me to hear. And it has a direct effect on sleep as well. There have been studies that show that it improves sleep, immune functioning, as well as relationship satisfaction. So you know, I know we've probably heard a lot about this, but there really is data to support that there's a lot of benefits for practicing or having a mindfulness-based practice in some way. I wanted to talk a little bit specifically about stress, since, you know, especially over the past year, we've all experienced a lot of stress, and maybe a different type of stress than we're used to. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the stress cycle, which you can see in the blue. I'm not sure if it's easy to read, but I'll go over the boxes there. But, you know, the stress cycle is something that all mammals respond to, you know, or experience. And that essentially starts out with a neutral event. And it's not until the individual kind of appraises the event as stressful or as a threat or challenge, that then our body kind of goes into an active stress response. And with that comes certain biochemicals, including cortisol and epinephrine, that are released in order to enhance the ability of one's mind and body to respond to the given threat. And this is, you know, that kind of fight or flight system that comes into play. And, you know, after the individual responds to the challenge, those biochemicals are then depleted through exertion to meet the threat or the challenge. Fatigue follows that depletion, and hopefully some rest and restoration. And then that person or mammal is kind of ready to meet the next challenge, right? So this is kind of a very simplistic way of looking at the stress response. The right side, that active phase, is kind of when our sympathetic nervous system gets activated. And then the recovery phase is the parasympathetic nervous system, you know, kind of taking over to restore. And the problem is that this works really well, except for if we are in kind of a chronic stress response. And a lot of times people, for many reasons, are kind of constantly in that sympathetic activated response. They are kind of inundated with stress. They aren't maybe managing it as well, or aren't given the chance to experience the restoration. They may, you know, not be helping themselves, you know, again, kind of, you know, get a break from that stress level, right? And so what happens is those biochemicals, like cortisol, is kind of continues to be activated and released, and it can cause a lot of medical problems. It can cause you know, different breakdowns in the body, and not to mention emotional and cognitive distress, right? So we now know, though, that mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness, actually can help to reduce cortisol levels in the blood. So it can help to start that parasympathetic nervous system and activate that, and down-regulate the chronic stress response. So you know, it both helps us emotionally and cognitively feel more connected, and, you know, again, as I said, kind of feel more in charge of those responses and problem solve more effectively, and all of those things that we need to do in order to manage any stress we're experiencing. But it also is kind of affecting us on a physiological level as well. So the foundation of mindfulness practice, again, this is coming, John Kabat-Zinn, who really has written so much on this, and I really I recommend. So he has a lot of different books. I have a slide with some different recommended reading, but he lays it out so well, and so it's very readable and understandable if you are interested in understanding more about mindfulness. And so he talks a little bit about these kinds of the foundation of mindfulness practice, and the pillars kind of that are important when kind of starting a practice, you know, starting to try to cultivate mindfulness. The first is kind of non-judgment, right? So if you think about, you know, mindfulness is cultivated by paying close attention to kind of moment to moment experiences, being open to whatever comes up. and not really getting caught up in our judgments, our opinions of things. So often we can kind of have a critical nature and be self-critical and have feelings about our feelings and all of that. And so this is really kind of trying to suspend that judgment a little bit, and not categorizing so much, so that we can kind of broaden the way we respond and experience. Patience is kind of this form of wisdom that he talks about, that really kind of things are going to unfold in their own time, and to kind of have that mindset as well when trying to be mindful. Beginner's mind, so the willingness to kind of see things with fresh eyes, a level of curiosity. I think often we kind of we don't always have this. We kind of already think we know what we're going to experience, or we know what we're going to think or know, and to kind of try to cultivate this beginner's mind can be helpful. And again, with the goal of just broadening our experience, broadening our responses. Trust is another important foundation. So I kind of think about, if you were starting a yoga practice, for example, or trying out yoga, certainly there is a level of trust that you're going to be doing with your own body, right? If you're doing certain poses, really trusting where your body's at for the day, and trusting kind of how much you can push yourself. And again, it's that constant kind of reconnecting to your own body, and listening to your own body. So that's important as well. Non-striving is another term that he uses, which again, so many things that we tend to do, the goal is kind of to get somewhere, to go somewhere, to get something. And this really is one of the few things that we're trying to cultivate. And it's about being and less doing. And it's not as easy as it may seem, right? And because we are kind of programmed to be really in that striving, goal-oriented mindset a lot of the time. So it can be refreshing to try to take on a non-striving stance. Acceptance is another really important term that, and foundation for mindfulness. And it doesn't mean kind of, blind resignation, passivity, to kind of allow, well, whatever's happening, and I'm not going to kind of continue to, have goals and make myself better and that kind of thing. It's more about, in the moment, really seeing things kind of for what they are, and accepting how things are moment to moment, as well as accepting that things are, that this moment is all we have, and it's also temporary. And so kind of having a clearer connection with that, and not really having those kind of often the thoughts that we have of what it should look like, what we should feel, what we should think. So accepting the moment for what it is, and then letting go, which again is also something that's easier said than done. That we tend to cling on to certain attachments, we cling on to certain thoughts and certain opinions, and we hold on to those. So it's important, when you are noticing that, to take a look at that and see what types of things do you tend to cling on to hold on to, and possibly is there any room to kind of let go of those opinions and thoughts. And so these are kind of, again, they can seem a little abstract if you're not familiar with mindfulness yet, and that's fine. And this isn't something, again, that you kind of master before starting, but these are kind of terms that are kind of helpful to keep in mind, I think, as you do practice it, because and they become a little more clear as you kind of get into a practice. Some other requirements, for mindful practice is kind of, commitment, self-discipline, and intentionality. I mean, while we talk a lot about just being versus doing, it doesn't take away from the fact that it is it is a practice, and it does require taking out time and trying to carve out that time and really dedicate and commit to it. There are going to be days, just like if you were training for a marathon or training, where you don't feel like doing the run, or you don't feel, very mindful, but it still kind of requires you to kind of push through that and sit anyway, or do the meditation or whatever it is that you kind of, set out to do, even if you, aren't feeling, up to it, because like everything else that, it does take work to kind of cultivate. And, it's not about just kind of deciding to be mindful in everything you do. It really is kind of an ongoing process. And when we talk about practices, there's kind of formal practice as well as informal practice. A formal practice might be committing 10, 20, even 5 minutes every morning or every day to sit and do a relaxation exercise or a breathing exercise, or meditation, or a body scan or yoga or whatever it might be. Whereas the informal practice is really, being mindful when washing dishes or any other task, noticing nature, listening deeply, even showering. I mean, I often tell kind of the stories of, like, we often get into the car, for example, and drive from home to work. And then you get out of the car and you notice you don't even really remember the drive, or you get into the shower and you do what you got to do. And then you get out, and that's kind of, evidence for the fact that most of the time, we are not in the moment. We are not being very present. We are often thinking about the past, regrets, or what we did last week, or we're thinking about the future and what we need to do, our to-do list, our, what things are gonna be like in the future. And so, and what happens is we lose out. We're not really in the moment. And so this is about kind of really with intention, trying to stay in the moment. And you could be doing any sort of task and make it mindful. And one way that I find is helpful, especially when starting out, to do the practice is, whatever task it is, let's say it's washing dishes, you can run through your 5 senses. What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell? And go through, and that's kind of, again, bringing you into the present moment of really what it is you're doing, as opposed to kind of, maybe thinking about other things. So again, both types of practices are equally important. I think most would say probably to start out, it is important and kind of helpful to set aside some time, just to kind of get going, and whether that's sitting quietly or whatever it is that you might be doing, because I do think it helps to kind of get into, become more comfortable with the practice. And the more you do it, the more accessible it might be when you are feeling overwhelmed or anxious, or just need to take a break out of the day, or that kind of thing. So we are going to do a few different mindfulness activities. I just wanted to read a few quotations from John Kabat-Zinn, because I think he says it best. But so the first one is, when we commit ourselves to paying attention in an open way without falling prey to our own likes and dislikes, opinions and prejudices, projections and expectations, new possibilities open up, and we have a chance to free ourselves from the straitjacket of unconsciousness. And like it or not, this moment is all we really have to work with. We often forget that, I think. So I try to remind myself of that often. And then I do love this one too. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So again, I think it's that last quote is kind of showing you, indicating how important this practice, the practice of mindfulness, the skill of mindfulness can be in managing distressing symptoms, and managing anxiety, and managing stress in general, just because it is a really helpful tool. You can't always stop whatever it is that's stressful. And most of the time we can't, right? But we can learn ways of riding out that wave, of managing, of, experiencing it, and effective ways to manage it. So let's see, I'm going to just see what the exercises that I have, and I should mention, and I'm sure many of you know, there are so many great resources for different guided meditations, and all, there's really no excuse anymore for us not being able to find good good guided meditations, because oops, I'm sorry, there are wonderful apps like Mindspace or Calm that have literally a mindfulness exercise for every area you could possibly think of, every type of situation that you might be in. And so if sitting on your own is not as comfortable yet, or you prefer to be guided through these, there are so many different places to look. And so I'm just choosing 3, hopefully we can get through. And the first one is a very, very simple breathing meditation. And this is something where it's brief. It's something you could do for longer, but and it's also something that you can, I find what can be helpful is if you find a script similar to the one I'm going to be doing, you can, read it yourself and record it on your phone, for example, and have that with you, and then just play it and take a couple minutes out throughout the day or once a day and just practice the meditation. And it couldn't be simpler. So this one is a breathing one. So I'm just going to invite you to sit comfortably and, close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If not, just allow your gaze to drop. Let your vision soften its focus. And just take a deep breath on purpose. Feel your belly expand as you inhale and collapse as you exhale. Just feel that movement in your body. Notice how your chest lifts as you breathe in and drops as you breathe out. And see if you can just focus your attention to stay with the movement of your breath in your body. Inevitably, distractions will arise, whether it's a sound or a sensation or tension in your body. And whenever distractions arise, just note them, just notice them. They are inevitable. But come back to your breathing and pay attention to the sensations of your breath. And on your next inhale, just notice that there's a space between your inhales and your exhales. You breathe in, there's a brief pause, almost as if your body knows when it's full of air, followed by an exhale. Just see if you can catch that brief pause. And your next inhale, breathe in, feel that pause. Hold it for a moment and breathe in a little deeper, like taking an extra sip of oxygen, topping up the lungs with air, and breathe all the way out. And just notice what that feels like in your body. Just repeat that at your own pace a few times, breathing in, feeling the pause, taking an extra breath in, and then exhaling slowly all the way out. Still breathing here, allowing your distractions to come, your thoughts, your sensations, and allow them to go as you bring your attention back to the breath. So before we end this exercise, just take a brief moment to just notice what it feels like to be in this moment. And with your eyes still closed, you can bring your attention back to the room that you're in. Notice the sounds in your environment, the sensations of the chair underneath your body. Bring a little motion into the body, wiggling the fingers, rotating the wrists, maybe rolling your shoulders up and down. And just allow your body to wake up to meet the moment where you are. When you feel ready, just allow your eyes to open. And just kind of take note as to what you've noticed from that exercise. Again, I think it's probably easier if we just get through the exercises, and then I'd love to hear anybody's comments from any of them. So take a moment to just kind of take that one in and see how that worked for you. The next one we're going to do is a little different. It's a body scan. And so again, it's going to be kind of guided by my voice, and we're going to kind of focus on different parts of the body. Not trying to change anything necessarily, but just noticing, right? Okay, so we're just going to notice what's happening within our own bodies, and you may find you notice areas of tension or relaxation that you weren't aware of. You may find yourself not wanting to pay attention to certain parts that bring you pain. These are all normal experiences, and in serving your own progress at developing your own practice of awareness, you just try to notice all of the experiences, even those that you don't want to have, right? And again, just kind of approaching this as from an open, with an open heart and open mind. Again, the practice is not necessarily about relaxing or having any expectation or desired outcome. It's the practice of just noticing. Give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling right now, and just make space for everything that shows up, even judgments or critical thoughts. And allow your eyes to close, or simply soften your gaze on your lap or on a neutral spot in front of you. If you find your mind wandering, traveling to the past or the future, or a what if scenario, or making noise, commenting on the exercise, anything like that, just acknowledge it and note it, and bring yourself back to the sound of my voice and the part of your body I'm directing your attention to. So just begin by bringing your attention to your breath, to the fact that you are breathing. Notice the rise and fall of your chest and your belly as you breathe in and out. Try not to manipulate your breath in any way, just observe it, your natural way of breathing. And throughout the exercise, you may notice resistance to doing something that I invite you to do. And remember to always choose what is best for you. Using that trust, always having the option to return to the breath, breathing deep into the belly. So just turning your attention to the top of your head. Notice if you can feel the area just above your head. Paying attention to any sensation of warmth or coolness. Start here and gently, slowly begin to turn your mind's eye inward and begin scanning down your body. Just noticing all the tiny muscles in your face. Can you feel any of them tightening with tension or loosening with relaxation? Can you feel the cool air enter your nostrils and the warm air exhaling through your nose as you breathe? Continue down to the positioning of your tongue in your mouth, noticing saliva in your mouth begin to cool as you pay attention, the feel of your tongue in your mouth as you swallow. Next, just lower your mind's eye to the point where your neck meets your head. Slowly scanning down to the point where your neck meets the rest of your body. Paying attention to the sensations there and expanding your awareness to any thoughts or feelings that may arise as you scan down to your shoulders. Breathe into those thoughts and feelings. And with an exhale, follow your attention down your shoulders. If you feel comfortable, bring your shoulders up to your ears and gently roll them back down. And notice what that feels like. Notice any change in sensation with that movement. Slowly draw your attention down your shoulders to the tips of your fingers. Can you feel the point where your fingers end and the air begins? If you notice your mind has begun to wander, that's all right. That's what minds do. Just acknowledge where your mind has gone and bring your attention back to my voice and the part of the body I'm directing your attention to. Now we'll turn our attention to your back. Notice your posture. Follow the curve of your spine. Can you feel the points where your back touches the chair? Slowly wrap your attention to your stomach. Feeling how the abdomen expands with an in-breath and deflates with an out-breath. Moving down to your hips, feel the weight of your body sitting in the chair, the place where your legs meet the chair. Notice any sensations as you move down your thighs, around your knees, to the back of your legs, and finally your feet. Can you feel any sensation from the soles of your feet? Points where your foot touches the inside of your shoe. The texture of your shoe or sock against your foot. Do you feel any sensation of warmth or coolness? Now gently draw your attention back up your body to your chest and belly, feeling as they expand and deflate with each inhale and exhale. Notice with curiosity if your breathing has changed at all from the beginning of the exercise. Notice your own practice of noticing throughout the exercise. And when you're ready, just begin to turn your attention outside your body, back to the room around you. Listen to the sound of your breath and to the sounds around you, both soft and loud, near and far. And in your own time, when you're ready, just open your eyes and come back to this moment, come back to the room. Okay. So that was a body scan for mindfulness. And then the last one we can do is a bit of a different one. It's a loving kindness meditation. So again, I'll just walk you through it, but take note of how you feel after that body scan. A lot of people find that kind of exercise helpful to do when you're lying down. Maybe before bed or when you first wake up. Again, getting in touch with your body in a way that we often don't, focusing on parts of it and what you notice. Again, can be very helpful, noticing where you're tight, tension, where you hold your tension. So a lot of benefits to that exercise. Okay, so this one, and I do have another if we have time, but I don't know, we'll see how we do. So this is a love and kindness meditation script. And again, just get yourself comfortable. We start as we do with all of them, just either allowing yourself to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And again, as we do with most of these, we start with just focusing on the breath, okay? The breath is always there. The breath is our friend. The breath, you can always kind of attend to your breath wherever you are. So connect with your body, bring your attention to the inhale and the exhale. Just follow your breath as it comes in and out without trying to change anything. Just be aware of it. And any feelings that come up or that are associated with it. Try to give full attention to each in-breath and then to each out-breath. And again, if distracting thoughts or sensations or feelings come up, just notice them, acknowledge them, and try not to be involved in them. Just return to the practice. Kind of let them come and go as if they are clouds in the sky. Just the thoughts are just passing by. So take a moment now to just set an intention for this practice. So some examples are to open my heart, to cultivate love and kindness, to care for myself. And then after you come up with an intention for the practice, just bring to mind a person or a pet for whom you are happy to see and have deep feelings of love. Imagine or sense this person or pet, noticing the feelings you have for them and what arises in you in your body. It may be a smile that comes across your face. It may be warmth you feel in the body. But whatever it is, just allow it to be felt. So now, as you let the thought of the person or pet go, continue to keep in awareness the feelings that have arisen when thinking about them. But bring into your mind now and see if you can offer love and kindness to yourself by letting these words become your words. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live in peace no matter what I am given. May my heart be filled with love and kindness. I'll say that again. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live in peace no matter what I am given. May my heart be filled with love and kindness. Notice the feelings and sensations that arise and let them be. And now try to offer the love and kindness to someone who supports you. Bring that person to mind and let these words become your words. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live in peace no matter what you are given. May your heart be filled with love and kindness. Notice the feelings and sensations that arise as you think of that person. And now, once the feelings for a loved one flow easily, turn your attention to someone with whom you may have some difficulty. It may not be someone you have the most difficulty with, but someone who brings up feelings of slight annoyance or irritation or distress. And see if you can let these words become your words as you keep this person in your awareness. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live in peace no matter what you were given. May your heart be filled with love and kindness. Notice the feelings and sensations that arise and just allow them to be. And when you're ready, now bring your mind bring to mind the broader community for which you are part of. Imagine your family, your colleagues, your neighbors, your town. Fan out your attention until you include yourself in this offering of loving kindness. May we be safe. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we live in peace no matter what we are given. May our hearts be filled with love and kindness. And notice the sensations and feelings that arise within you. And finally, bring to mind the entire world. And imagine the entire world as you let these words become your words. May we be safe. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we live in peace. No matter what we are given, may our hearts be filled with love and kindness. And just sit with these feelings and thoughts that are coming up for you now. And when you are ready, you can focus on your breath and come back to the room and open your eyes. Okay, so that was a different kind of, a little bit of a different type of meditation. So I think we probably don't have time for the last one, for another one. So I would love to hear if there are any questions or feedback or responses to any of these. Let's see. Oh, and I also have some recommended reading that, but there's so much literature on mindfulness now. There's a lot of great resources, but here are a few. Okay, so I guess I should look at the chat maybe. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Okay, I just see one here. Are there any apps? Yes, I really I use Headspace personally. I know there is a version of it that is free, I think, to get started, and then I do think you can join and get probably access to different mindfulness exercises. But I find it, there's so much and so many. There is literally a different type of exercise for whatever it is you're looking for. So I would recommend Headspace. I've also heard good things about Calm, which is another one. Apps to help with relaxation for sleep. So Headspace again has a whole course on sleep. That a lot of people find doing a body scan before bed can be really helpful for problems falling asleep, or if you wake up. Mindfulness, meditations can be really powerful and helpful for people who are suffering from insomnia or other sleep problems. So it's a really, really helpful skill to have.